in taking the national anthem. So shall we please all rise up? We'll take the national anthem.
Arise, O compatriot, Nigeria's call obey, to serve our Father with love and strength and faith. The labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain. To serve with heart and mind, one nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Thank you so much. You may all please be seated. I'd like to use this opportunity to welcome each and every one of you to the Pan-African Senior Secondary School Agricultural Debate. It's the very first of its kind. Let's put our hands together for the organizers. We're starting off right away. And I'd like to first of all call on the organizer of this event in the person of Mr. Nathaniel Ahigbe for his welcome address.
Good afternoon. First and foremost, I'd like to apologize for the guests that are absent. It's not a deliberate something. When we put their names on the flyers, we follow them up. The guests you are seeing on the flyer, there are people, when they misses my call, they call back. So I didn't just put the name there because I wanted to wool you or deceive you. We reach out to them. Unfortunately, they are not here, and I'm still trying to reach them to know why they are not here. I was the one that did that flyer myself. I reached out personally to them. They gave me permission to use their flyer. The reason why I was reaching out to ensure that if we put your picture there, we love to see you, so that the students who probably are coming because of your presence, they will be happy to see you. But unfortunately, that is not the case here. But I know that His Royal Highness Lord Peter Ojefo is in Lagos. He's trying to find his way to this venue. I also know that Mr. Victor Eboegbe, who is the National Commissioner, Revenue and Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission, is also around. So he's been calling me. He just landed at the Lagos airport and they are bringing him here. He kept saying that he's on his way here. So I'd like to say I'm very sorry if you are feeling bad that, oh, they said this person will be here. They are not here. It's not a deliberate thing. So welcome. Sir, I want to thank you for your presence around, the senior pastor of the resident pastor, rather, Ward Assemblies. Thank you for your support. Pastor Philip is not here. He gave us a lot of monthly support, or I would have been able to host you here. And then he's representing him here. Thank you, sir, for your presence. I also want to acknowledge the presence of the panel of judges. Our sister from Sterling Bank. Yesterday, the woman that she's representing, the head of agribusiness in Sterling Bank, called me to say that she wouldn't be able to make it because they were having a management meeting today. So she sent somebody to represent her. So the lady is here. She came here even before 9 a.m. Thank you, man, for leading by example. we don't believe in African time. We believe when they say 8 a.m. should be 8 a.m. We don't believe in African time. But somehow, the people who came late, it was not because they desired. I heard that Arresta, they had a flat tire on their way here. But we thank God that they are here safely. Thank you, Mrs. Olu, Fumi, Lola. We thank you for your presence. Dr. Abuba, thank you for your presence. We thank you. Dr. Abuba transport himself here from River State. I couldn't pay for his flight. He traveled the roads from Rivers to Lagos State. Please help me to give Dr. Abuba a round of applause. Yes. Dr. Bola Adekoya, who is a former director of Fishery Services, Ogun State. We also want to thank the lawyer that is with us. Thank you, ma'am, for your timely, arrival. Now, PASAD, what we want to achieve, they are asking me to hurry up. But I needed to give a message why we are gathering you here. We are motivated by two reasons to do PASAD. First, we discovered that hunger is killing people silently. And hunger is not discovered, it's not being classified by UN or all its affiliate agencies as a disease. But let me read some statistics to you, what hunger has been doing, because the rich is not farming. The poor is farming to take care of the rich. If the rich don't involve in farming, there will be a problem. Hunger will be killing people. Let me read some statistics to you, what hunger has been doing in the last few years. And these statistics are UN-backed statistics. Why we are trying to encourage you students to involve in agriculture, to take your agric teacher very seriously, take your agric studies very seriously, and include agriculture in your future. If you don't, you will experience more hunger deaths than we are experiencing. Hunger is killing people very seriously, but it's not being seen as disease. Listen to this. Annually, there are 584,000 deaths from malaria worldwide, with 90% occurring in Africa. Then we have nearly half of all child deaths in Africa stem from hunger. In 2024, 3,000 Nigerians, mostly children, died as a result of hunger. Then, as a result of Boko Haram in the northeast, we have 10 million children who are hungry, who are in desperate needs of humanitarian assistance. Hunger. Then 60 million children are deprived of food in Africa. Child hunger can cost African countries almost 17% of its GDP. So if you don't understand what hunger is doing, but unfortunately, the UN and all its sister agencies, they have identified malaria is killing. We have other diseases that are killing slowly. But we don't see hunger as a disease. Hunger is doing the same thing like these other diseases are doing. So the earlier we see these diseases, the hunger is causing the same havoc as these other diseases, the better for us. Because the truth of the matter is, if you are not able to do a proper diagnosis, you won't be able to get a proper medication. For instance, if I come to your house, I'm hungry, and you know that it's a disease, you're likely going to give me attention. If you don't know it's a disease, but what you will do, you will be saving your afternoon meal. Even when you have had something in the morning, you'll be saving your afternoon meal for yourself. But if I come to you that I have malaria, you're going to get me drugs to use. So if we don't see hunger for what it truly is, there will be a problem. And the future lies within you young people that are here. So we are doing PASAD to try to increase agricultural conversation along the secondary school corridors so that you don't see agriculture as it used to be in the past. In fact, we have bankers who are resigning from their banking job into agriculture. We have bankers, 2017, we have a Nigeria that made over 6 billion from the sales of cassava alone. So you are seeing agriculture as it used to be. In 2017, Nigeria was rated as third yam exporting nation into the US. We became curious, we wanted to know why. We discovered that a particular species of the Nigerian yam contains 65% of water. And that water that they are getting from yam is used for pharmaceutical materials. And that same material, Nigeria spent billions importing it from US and the West. So we are selling the raw yam that we have. US is buying our yam and enhancing their pharmaceutical industry. And we are not doing anything about it. In 2018, the US reported that the US Department of Agriculture reported that their agro export into Nigeria was $335 million. What was Nigeria able to export into the US? Our sales were $49 million US dollars. Because the rich have refused to farm. We talked about smallholder farming. The rich are not farming. In these countries, the rich are the one farming. We think farming is for the poor. So we need to start changing narrative that farming isn't for the poor. Poor nations are poor because poor people are the one farming. Rich nations are rich because rich people are the one farming. So you sitting down here, my message is for you, these students sitting down here, that if you don't take agriculture serious, your generation will witness more death than what we are witnessing. Because hunger, you can't cast hunger out. Hunger has no respect for your beauty, for your education, for your age. Hunger has no respect for anointing. Even Jesus couldn't cast out hunger. Jesus could not cast out hunger. He was hungry. He caused the fig tree because he was hungry. There was nothing for him to eat. Then if you are a Quran student, you should know that Muhammad at some point, he took a drastic measure to provide for himself and his followers, for which he still being criticized for those who have not seen hunger as a disease that kills very slowly. So you have 3 reasons why you should farm, which I want to present to you very quickly. One, you need to farm for hobby. Being a banker does not stop you from farming. You can be a banker, you have your own farm, you have your own garden, you have your own vegetables that you are taking care of. By the time that the harvest is around, you smile, you subsidize your wallet. You have something to give to others. Then farming for business. Farming is a serious business. You are making money. That's where the Africa brand is going. Stanley Bank lady is there. Recently, you had a conference that is $1 trillion, right, of agriculture in Africa. $1 trillion. If you don't do something, the West will keep getting the best from us because we don't farm. 49 million from Nigerian agro sales to US. They are only 335 million US dollars. They are farming. They are making from us. The soap you are using to bath, the lotion you are using, they are agricultural products. Engineering, you can link almost everything to agriculture. We have taken it for granted. So when we launched our magazine, International Agriculture, we wrote to some schools, said, do an essay how we can use secondary school syllabus to inspire unusual interest in agriculture. Some of the students told us that their students are laughing at them. Their parents are laughing at them when they say want to do agriculture. Parents say, I want you to be an engineer. Don't go and be an engineer. We don't want to be a farmer. That was the feedback we got back. Meanwhile, farming, you can be in your farm. The doctor that you are they will use helicopter to carry the doctor to come and treat in your own farm. That's farming we are doing today. It's not the farming of yesteryears. So please, I'd like you to go back, go and look at agriculture, take your agri study serious. You can farm as a hobby. You can be working. You can farm for humanitarian purposes, which is the main message I want to give to you. If you don't want to do, if you have money, invest in farming with adequate knowledge in your future, because I won't be here that time. You will be here. None of you sitting down here will die before me because I'm in my 40s. I don't pray that you die before me. But when I'm no longer here, you'll be experiencing death. Like this record is backed by UN. People are dying because they are hungry. They are hungry. People are not farming. Youth apathy towards agriculture is too high. Farming is not for the poor, it's for the rich. We should not be talking about commercial farming. We should be talking about commercial rather than smallholders. Farming, smallholders. That's why we are poor. Until the rich get involved in agriculture, until churches start investing in agriculture, mosques invest in agriculture, you won't be able to create the job we are looking for. So my message to you sitting down here, that why we are doing PASAD is to look at your future, a green future, Why you can be a banker, you have a very serious farm that you are supervising. You may not be making money, but you are touching lives. You are reaching out to people. People are buying. Vegetables is becoming one of the most expensive food in the world. Vegetables. Very soon, a lot of people will not be able to have access to food because people are not farming. If you don't farm, people will be dying. You will be looking at them like you can't do anything. People will be dying. They can't eat. Hunger cannot be casted out. Hunger can only be taken care of by providing the only anti-hunger vaccine, which is food. If we don't farm, our generation will be in trouble. I'm talking to you young people here that you should go back, look at what is happening to your agri curriculum. Take it serious. Secondly, lastly, which is what I'd like to touch about, why we are doing PASAD, is to create for you young people a content that is tailor-made for you online, when you are online. Something you can relate with, media content. We have done our research. We discovered that larger percent of the content you see online, parents are complaining it's not suitable for their children. But where is the alternative? So we are fighting to create an alternative media content when you are online that you can relate to. But it's not just lecturing you. Your students will be debating, so you will watch them online. I'm not the one teaching you. So you can relate with them. When you see them online, will you watch it? Hello? Student, when you see your children debating online, will you watch it? So we are creating this so that you will see something that you can identify with online. That is what PASAD is meant for. So as you are here, I want to welcome you for your tenacity, your grace to be able to break through all the odds. And you are here. I wish you all the best. The teachers that are here, thank you. All the teachers that are here, the students, thank you. In your future endeavor, we would love to hear the exploit that you are doing as far as agriculture is concerned. God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Nat, for that passionate welcome address. Now, at the extraordinary summit of the Assembly of African Union on March 21st, 2018, in Kigali, Rwanda, the agreement establishing the African Continental Free Trade Area was signed by 44 member states out of the 55 members of the African Union. One of the benefits of this agreement is a cutting of trade tariffs between member states. Several discussions have been generated around this move, and today, courtesy the Africa Agriculture Agenda, the PASAD School Debate is being organized. Several invitations were sent out to different schools. At the end, we had 12 schools indicating interest in this debate. Just at the last minute, one of the schools pulled out, leaving us with just 11 schools to discuss this crucial topic concerning the trade agreement. And so we have just 11 schools here, or rather 10. The other one is yet to join us. So I'll quickly give us a rundown of all the schools that we have, and we'll move into the debate proper. Let me also use this time to let us know that this event is being streamed live. So it's going on live presently. So you can tell your friends at home, you can tell your parents to hook up online and watch what is going on. You can tell call your classmates at home, if you have your phones here, you can tell your classmates to just come online and cheer your representatives here on. So we have Arresta Divine School, we have Albista Academy, Charles Sidoni School, Diadem College, Good Shepherd Schools, Hebron Heights College, Lindcrest School, Mighty Oaks Comprehensive College pulled out. Then we have Queensland Academy, standard foundation schools, and top flight college. Each of these schools have sent in 2 representatives. We have the main speaker, who will be speaking for 5 minutes, and the supporting speaker, who will come up stage afterward to speak for just 3 minutes. Afterwards, the main speakers will come up stage again to tie up their points for just 2 minutes. And after that, we'll leave everything in the hands of the panelists to decide who the winner is. Once again, I'd like to let us know the criteria by which all these our debaters will be judged, so that we know that at the end of the day, the panelists have been fair. So we have neatness, that's appearance and time management, introduction and depth of knowledge, confidence and connection with audience, choice of words and body language, strength of arguments, voice control and eye contact, clarity and organization of points, compliance to rules, and courteousness. So please, I'd like to join us that whilst the debate is going on, let's have some absolute silence and less movement around this area so we don't distract the debaters. Are we all together? Okay, so less movement. If you want to take photographs, just one representative from the school is allowed. You can just come somewhere around here, but please do not come to the front as you might end up distracting them. So we're going to call on the first round of speakers, and these speakers are going to speak in favor of the topic. So I have Ejima Precious from Top Flight College. I have Uzo Uku Daniel from Diadem College, and I also have Adedolakbo Oladapo from Queensland Academy. They will be speaking in that order. So we have Top Flight College, Diadem College, and Queensland Academy. Is that noted? Okay. Panelists, do you have any contributions to make? Are we ready? Okay. So, Ejima Precious, timekeeper, are we ready? Okay. So, once your time is off, your time is up, rather, the timekeepers are going to just ring the bell, and then you know that your time is up. So, main speakers, 5 minutes, supporting speakers, 3 minutes each. Ejima Precious. Let's put our hands together for her as she comes up stage.
Good day, Chairman, Moderator, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, co-debaters, and my ever-listening audience. My name is Ejima Precious, and I'm a bona fide student of Top Flight College. The topic I'm here to support is African market economy is better than domestic market economy. Now, I'd like to start by defining what African market economy is all about, which is also synonymous to international trade. This can be defined as the transaction done between more than one country, but now specialized African countries. Here are my points to say why African market economy is preferable to domestic market economy. 1, it taxes the economy of the country. In what sense? In the sense that when a country is limited to use our own resources, the country is going to be bounded in a circle, not able to, test from other resources, and the country will not know where it stands because the country will be stagnant and will not want to move forward nor backwards. Also, it creates employment. In what sense? When foreign investors come into the country, definitely they are going to employ the citizens of the country, which is very nice. Also, I would like to ask this question. Now, since Nigeria has closed its borders with Benin Republic, has it affected you? Definitely, your answer is yes. Why? The rate at which goods have increased is very alarming, which is very, very bad. Can you imagine? A normal Nigerian cannot live above 1,000 naira a day or cannot even afford 2 square meals, which is very bad. Also, if domestic economy is encouraged, the rate at which things go out and come in will be limited. Why? Because will be limited and the quality won't be good. Now, let's say, for instance, the famous Aba made. Now, we all see fake things, fake clothes, which can actually cause harm to our bodies. Also, let's take note of the DSTV. Please, I want us to answer this question with all sincerity. Please, how many of us here use DSTV decoders at our home? Please, let's be sincere. Thank you. So if we operate a domestic market economy, definitely there will not be DSTV in your house. Al Jazeera, CNN, your CBB, your Disney Channel, you won't be able to watch that anymore. Also, let me tell you something, that now I want to refer this to China. When China closed its border, it actually lost like about 40,000 people. Why? Because their resources were limited. They were bonded and they were held in one place for no good reason. Also, it actually makes the monopoly come down. In what sense? Once there are many sellers or many producers of the same product, definitely the competition will be very high and everyone will strive to be the best. It also makes the African continent united, because there's a saying that says, united we stand and divided we fall. Because now, it will also stop external forces from coming into the continent. Once the European continent and Asian continent see that Nigeria is united and see that Africa is united, definitely they will not want to come in, because they'll be trembling at their feet to know what Africans are capable of doing. It also helps us to protect our culture and expand our culture. We all know that Nigeria is a very good country and Africa at large is a very cultural country. And it will actually help us, to spread our nation, to spread our culture very well. And we all know that Yoruba is one of the most speaking language in the world. Also, it also makes good varies. Now, let's be sincere with ourselves. We all know that most African homes, or most Nigerian homes rather, we always eat starch like 95% of the week, which is very bad. Imagine we eating starch like almost every day from Monday to Sunday, non-stop. Gari, rice, and all sorts. It can lead to kwashiorkor and also many other diseases. So if we operate an African market economy, definitely goods will vary and other things will be imported. Also, we also know that, let's take note that Gabon and Nigeria are very strong when it comes to petroleum. So we know that if Gabon and Nigeria should come together, actually will make Africa a very good place and our electricity will be standard and top-notch. Also, it will reduce brain drain. In what sense? When people, important personnel, and know or have noticed that they are going to be recognized in their country, when they know that, yes, they will actually need my help, they will actually need my assistance, they will want to stay back in their country and reside. Thank you, and God bless you.
A great economics once defined economics as the inquiry into the nature and causes of wealth of nations. Good day, Mr. Chairman, accurate timekeeper, impartial judges, co-debaters, and fellow audience. My name is Daniel Uzoku, and I'm here to support the brilliant initiative of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. First of all, free trade agreements are designed to cut trade tariffs among member countries. Tariffs are a sort of tax that are placed on goods coming into a country for a range of reasons. Sometimes to increase the economic stability or esteem, and sometimes to protect an homemade product. Therefore, the African Continental Free Trade Agreement in that sense is a free trade agreement that is between 54 of the 55 African Union states. It was signed on the 21st of March 2018 in Kigali, Rwanda. The African Union launched negotiations of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement back in 2015 with the hope of increasing intra-African trade. Because you will find out that only 15% of African exports go to other African countries, unlike 59% in Asia and 69% in Europe. Let me refer you back to 1960. When Nigeria just gained their independence from colonial rule, you will find out our economy was very balanced because the British left a flourished land with us. Nigeria never cared to share our resources with other African countries in times of need. so that we can always refer back to them. We used that time of flourishment alone. And when the time of famine came, we became to experience a downtrend. Furthermore, the continent has been stripped of its resources. Europe, United States, and more recently China have stripped the continents of resources such as minerals and fossil fuels. If Nigeria had shared its resources with other African continents around, we would have had a way to refer back to them. That's what the African Continental Free Trade has come to do. The African Continental Free Trade has come to make one single market where African countries can come and exchange knowledge and make more value. It is of a true fact that these agreements will need strong political will, enabling policies and instruments to guide it. But on the long run, it will guide Africa on importance and profits on every area of its endeavors. It is also true that in a country like Nigeria, where we have over 250 languages, there might be diversification or separation due to one tribe not believing in another tribe. Like what is happening now, the Fulani herdsmen hunting on the other tribes of Nigeria. If we can see ourselves as an avenue of making wealth, we won't even think of destroying what we know will be useful to us in later time. Because Africa has always been a continent that produces what it does not consume and consume more of what it does not produce. The African Continental Free Trade has come as an avenue to create one market. For example now, a woman sells pepper, a Nigerian woman. She does not have license, she's poor, and she wants to make good gain in her business. The African Continental Free Trade will give her an avenue to tap into the exchange and profits of the overseas markets. The African Continental Free Trade will make small and medium-scale business, which we have mostly in Nigeria, to prosper. It is, if successful, the African Continental Free Trade is supposed to increase the intra-trade levels in Africa by 52.3% by 2022. At this point of Africa, moving back is cowardice. Standing still is suicidal. But we must move forward and persevere, because winners never quit and quitters never win. Thank you.
Good or bad? The decision we made, was it easy or hard? Open or close? The choice we chose. Of what benefit is a closed border to us? Will it bring about peace or chaos? Good day, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, co-debaters, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Adedolapo Oladapo. I'm a student of Queenstown Academy, and I stand before you this day to support the notion which says African Free Trade Agreement and its controversies. We all know what African Free Trade is, African Free Trade Agreement is. It is basically like the ECOWAS, Economic Community of West African States, and the OAU, now known as the AU. This really is an important topic because we need to move forward in Nigeria, and I support the government for closing our borders. The African Free Trade Agreement brings about unity in African states. It helps in solving problems and reducing crises. It brings in employment. Imagine a country, Nigeria, has a lot of population, and there are very few employment opportunities for us. If it is open, it means people can actually Nigerians can actually go to countries where they need help. Now, the African Free Trade Agreement is very important because it fosters peace, it leads to development, infrastructural development. We all know that for goods to move from one place to another, there has to be transportation. And in order for transportation to succeed, there has to be good road, good infrastructure. And that cannot happen if our roads are faulty. That cannot happen if we don't have proper transportation systems. It also leads to economic development through revenue we generate from through taxes and sales of our goods. The African Free Trade Agreement, people believe that Nigeria is becoming a dumping ground, but that's not true. Nigeria has been a member of ECOWAS for many decades, and she has not become a dumping ground. Why? Because Nigeria has some certain things that you can import and some things you cannot import. If the Nigerian government finds out that, okay, if we import this thing, it's not going to be good for our people, they will not accept it. It also opens up ways for people to go out and come in, goods to go out and come in, meaning Nigeria can benefit from other countries, maybe not as much as they benefit from us. Ludwig von Mises once said, and I quote, "It is the consumers who make a poor person rich and a rich person poor." In Nigeria, it's all about what we have and what we have to give. If what you have to give will favor the consumers, then good, it will increase our national wealth. It allows for people to be able to work. It creates employment opportunities for many Nigerians. They say many youths are unemployed, and that's not true. This closing of border thing is really good because it allows people to work well. It encourages our local producers. For example, I had an auntie, she died like 2 months ago because she did not have enough resources to take care of herself and her family. As our speaker said before, we need food, we need farming. If farming is encouraged in Nigeria at this local level, if we close our borders, which the government has done, it will encourage a lot of people to work harder, to move faster. It will lead to the growth of Nigeria and Africa at large. The African Free Trade Agreement is really very necessary, and I appreciate the government for closing the borders because it has encouraged a lot of people to work harder, to move. It has shown Nigeria the new light. We all are conversant with the giants of the Asian tigers. Now, one of the things the Asian tigers did to flourish was to close their borders. And according to research, in Europe, when they closed their borders, unemployment reduced by 6%. And since we closed our borders, there have been so many changes and opportunities for us. We have received, as at when we closed our border, we received 5-point-something billion naira, which means when our border was open, there was a lot of wastage, there was a lot of money being wasted. For example, smuggling. If people are smuggling, obviously we need people, securities, to protect. And when they do that, we are reducing money because it's not easy to pay a large amount of people. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll just quickly call on the speakers, the debaters, who will be speaking against the motion. So we have Jesu Tofumi Oyeleke from Chalcedony, Bashorun Toluwalashe, Lynn Crest, Adekugbe Oluwa Tumishe, Hebron Heights, Diamond Ufoma Standard Foundation College, Fakolujo Oluwa Tofumi, Albesta Academy, or Omishokwe Oriofe, Good Shepherd Schools, and Sanusi Azizat from Aresta Divine School. So they will be coming up to speak in that order. Jesuto Fumi Oyeleke.
With puzzling questions come great deliberation. This is an issue whose gravity cannot be ignored. African Continental Free Trade Agreements and its controversies. Before I continue, I would like to give honor to where honor is due. Good day, Mr. Chairman, honorable panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, co-debaters, and my attentive audience. My name is Joseph Oyeleke, and I'm here to oppose the motion stating African free trade and its controversies. Now, what does African Continental Free Trade Agreement mean? It was an agreement that was signed in Kigali, Rwanda on the 21st of March, 2018. As of July 2019, 54 countries had signed the agreement. Ratification by 22 countries was needed for the agreement to come into force or become effective. The agreement seeks to serve as an umbrella under which protocols and annexes will be added. The agreement seeks to remove the different barriers between the African community The agreement is set to be implemented in phases, some which are still under negotiation. Now, Nigeria was one of the last countries to sign the agreement, which raised quite a few eyebrows in the country. The Nigerian Federation said they didn't want to do anything to undermine the local manufacturers and entrepreneurs in the country. This was much to the delight of the country, as the National Labour Congress and Manufacturing Association of Nigeria were extremely happy and delighted at the decision that Nigeria initially refused to sign the agreement. After much deliberation, Nigeria eventually signed the agreement on the 7th of July, 2019. Now, I know most people say the free trade agreement may improve certain indicators such as GDP and the balance of trade. However, it is important to note that the African Continental Free Trade Agreement may improve wealth inequality, intensifying the profit-making of the wealthy people. With the poverty and unemployment plaguing the African society, it is pertinent to ask why the continent's leaders will chase after such an agreement. The answer lies in the very question, as the same leaders pushing for agreement are the ones who will benefit from intra-continental trade. Now, another controversy that's been associated with the free trade agreement is that of lack of transparency. Non-governmental associations such as civil societies have not been allowed access to the negotiating table, leaving many critical on what goes on behind closed doors. For example, the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria and the 4 million stronghold of the National Labour Congress have fought vehemently to prevent Nigeria from signing the agreement, citing examples such as secrecy of negotiations and non-input from non-governmental bodies. Another area that is set to suffer from this agreement could be that of agriculture. Now, most farmers in Nigeria are subsistence farmers. Now, free trade agreements will lead to liberalization of agriculture, leading to urbanization and polarization. This will not encourage the domestic consumption, the domestic production of goods in the country. Now, most people may say that the free trade agreement supports Nkrumah's dream of a united and revolutionary Africa. However, it is important to know that the manner in which the agreement is being done is a cause of serious worry. The secrecy of negotiations, the lack of input from non-governmental bodies makes a lot of people worried about what the agreement is. Nigeria also said initially when they refused to sign the agreement that they weren't sure that the agreement prevented anti-competitive practices such as dumping. Now, some of you may have said that we've suffered a lot from closing the borders, but I believe we've profited a lot from for closing the borders, in the sense that more Nigerians are hardworking now. Nigerians have decided to stand on their feet and find a new way to produce their food. Rather than depending on other countries and depending on foreign rice, we have decided to come together as one and to depend on our local rice here in Nigeria. So, in all I've simply said is that the African Continental Free Trade Agreement has more negatives than positives. All we have to do is to open our eyes clearly and see. That is why debates like this are very important in making sure that the government does something about this. The agreements are seen to have more negatives than positives. That's why I would like to congratulate everyone who was part of this debate. I would like to congratulate everyone who brought up the idea of the debate, because deliberations like this are going to reach up there and will make the Nigerian Federation rethink it again. Thank you very much.
Nigeria is our country, and the well-being of every citizen, whether physically, mentally, medically, or economically, is our collective responsibility. And so, we must do the things that will enhance our growth in all facets of life by promoting our own made goods and services. But before I proceed with my argument, it is imperative for me to say, good day, Mr. Chairman, panel of unbiased judges, accurate timekeeper, my co-debaters, and my ever-attentive audience. My name is Bashon Tuashe, and I am an ambassador for Linquest International College, Ikorodu, and I am here to argue against the African Free Trade Agreement. First of all, what's the African Free Trade Agreement? The African Free Trade Agreement was an agreement which was brokered by the African Union on March 21st, 2018. And it includes 44 states out of the 55 states in Africa, which include 48 mainlands and 7 island countries. Now, what is the basis of the African Free Trade Agreement? What is the rationale behind this agreement? Is it to promote or to destroy the efforts of local producers and farmers? Well, your guess is as good as mine. For instance now, my dear audience and impartial judges, I am here to categorically tell you that the African Free Trade Agreement and its reasons are absurd in its entirety. What do I mean? When a country like Nigeria leaves its borders open without any restrictions, what do we expect? Every Tom, Dick, and Harry will bring their goods into the country at the detriment of the nation's economy. And so therefore, Nigeria will turn into a dumping ground like the Republic of Benin, where all manner of goods are allowed into the country. It also gives room for smuggling of illegal goods and arms and different types of things. The smuggling is not only limited to drugs and arms, but also human trafficking, where, because of the lack of restrictions and checks and balances, organizations are able to bring in human beings which range from men, women, and even children to work as slaves. And when this blows out of proportion, the only people who will be made accountable is the Nigerian government, and which tarnishes the economy, the nation's image. And also, according to the Rice Producers Association, they stated that Nigeria will be able to benefit from this recent border closure because we'll be able to save up to $400 million from the stoppage of the smuggling of rice and importation of food crops that we can grow in our locality. And the African free trade is inimical to the nation's success because of the high tariff rates. The tariff rates are actually taxes which are deducted from the total value or real value of a commodity. So once 90% of these taxes are being removed, it will only give us the mouse share of this one, and it damages our economy. And also the African Free Trade Agreement is also detrimental to the nation's success in the sense that it raises competition between foreign producers and local producers. In the sense that when they bring their commodities into the country, it divides the Nigerian market. Normally, we generate our own fund and revenue, and it was only allocated for the Nigerian government. But once foreign producers are able to bring their goods into the country, it splits up the revenue and also the market, which is detrimental to the success of the nation. And also, according to the rural sociologist named Professor Kolawole Adebayo, he stated that Nigeria will be able to benefit from this recent border closure if it evolved strategies that will be able to improve and promote the local production and keep the Nigerian market more productive. He said this Tuesday in Igora at the Maiden Biennial Conference in Oyo State College of Agriculture and Technology. And also, let's talk about the recent border closure. The recent border closure is a solution to a long-term problem, in the sense that because of this border closure, it encourages local investors to be able to put their money into the agricultural sector of the nation, in the sense that they are able to put their money into the agriculture and to be able to benefit the nation wise. And also, the border closure also causes that Nigeria will be able to save up to 400 million because we are able to produce our money. And it also leads to the diversification of the economy, in the sense that oil was our major production, major produce when we were exporting. But now, because of the recent border closure, we are able to build up the agricultural sector, and therefore we'll be able to make twice as much we were making in the past. And the African Free Trade Agreement also leads to the importance of the local farmers, and it also encourages them in a sense. With these numerous points of mine, I hope that I have been able to show you the grave disadvantages of the African Free Trade Agreement and the detrimental effects to the nation's economy. Thank you.
Good day, respected chairman, esteemed panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, worthy opponents, and my wonderful audience. Standing before you all is Adekugboluwa Tumishe from Ibron High College, Ikorodu, and I'm here to oppose the African Free Trade Agreement. Before I proceed, I would like to define the key words in the topic. What is free trade? Free trade can be defined as the pact between two or more nations to reduce barriers to imports and exports among them. Under free trade, goods and services are bought and sold across international borders with little or no government tariffs, quotas, and subsidies, or prohibition to inhibit their exchange. The African Continental Free Trade Agreement is the trade agreement which is in force between 44 African Union member states. It was signed in Kigali, Rwanda on the 21st of March 2018. The ambitious project seeks to remove tariffs on 90% of the goods traded between the signatories to the agreement, which gradually eliminates other non-tariff barriers to trade in goods and services. Now, how does this affect Africa, especially developing countries like Nigeria? I say no, it doesn't benefit us in any way. You will understand why as I proceed. Firstly, if it allows free movement of goods in Africa, then Nigeria will become a dumping ground for junks, which will inadvertently affect our economy and the health of Nigerians. When people start buying unwholesome goods like rubber rice, which was brought into the Nigerian market through open borders, how many of these goods has gone on quality checks before being brought into the Nigerian market? Again, I say no to unnecessary open borders. Secondly, producers, especially farmers, will suffer when they are open borders. Why? Because our commercial farmers do not have sufficient resources, government backing, and sufficient storage spaces in order to compete with their counterparts in other countries. And this will affect the rate of production, leading to insufficient produce in the market. Pricing is another factor that discourages our local farmers because goods brought through open borders will become cheaper due to the fact that the cost of production of foreign countries is lower compared to that of Nigeria. Thirdly, the importation of produce from production of goods will reduce our country's foreign exchange reserve. It heightens its dependency on food commodities as people spend more on importing than exporting. The Great Depression that arose in 2019 to 1930 in the US economy swept all over the world, and all other countries suffer even if their economies are not found in the grip of the depression. Such overdependence following free trade will become catastrophic during war. In the view of all these arguments against African free trade, governments of less developed countries in the post-Second World War were encouraged to take to some trade restrictions in order to safeguard their natural interests. And I feel that Nigerian government should also do the same. I hope with this point of mine, I have been able to briefly you and not to brainwash you that the African Free Trade Agreement is not beneficial to Africa, especially Nigeria. Thank you.
Comparing the African Free Trade Agreement that was adopted by the African Union in the 18th ordinary session of the Assembly of Heads of State and Government held in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia in January 2012 by an indicative date of 2017 to the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, which was signed in 1992 and took effect in January 1, 1994. We could precisely say that the negative effect of a free trade agreement totally outweighs its benefits, as the United States of America, one of our largest world powers, not seem to be benefiting from it. Before I carry on, I would like to accord respect to those of merit by saying, good day, Mr. Chairman, sir, honorable panel of judges, my accurate timekeeper, my co-debaters, and my ever-attentive audience. My name is Diamond Ufoma from Standard Foundation Schools, and I stand to speak against the African Free Trade Agreement. Do you realize that to properly implement the African Free Trade Agreement, we have to run on an open border policy? Before the implementation of a free trade agreement, government will generate revenue from goods and services through the use of tariffs and fees. But when the agreement comes to effect, the tariffs have to be cut down by 90%, thereby reducing the level of revenue amassed by the government. Is that fair? They will have to source for other means to fill up this void. Furthermore, the after brings about massive competition between local agro-allied industries and foreign agro-allied industries. A well-defined example is our oil palm in Nigeria. By the time foreign producers bring in their oil palm to Nigeria, consumers will be put in a position to choose between the foreign oil palm or the local oil palm, and they will definitely go for the foreign produce. Another example is our rice. I mean, let's be frank, would you rather pick locally produced rice over foreign rice? I'm guessing no. Meanwhile, when our local producers are put out of business,
They are now left with little or no capital to continue the running of their business, and production process of the country is drastically reduced, thereby affecting the gross domestic product of the country. A very cogent example is Thailand, who in 2003 joined the free trade agreement. Their GDP reduced every year until their account balance dropped from a total of $8 trillion to a deficit of $4 trillion. That's over a 150% decrease. Can you believe that? Now we are yammering about how the free trade agreement will benefit the consumers, as they will have a variety of options to choose from. Is it really so? Let's think about it. Foreign producers will bring in their produce at cheaper rates to win over the consumers and to eliminate all standing competition. Once competition is eliminated, they are now free to raise the prices as high as they wish. And when they do that, who suffers for it? The consumers, of course. They are forced into an economy of scale, purchasing from an oligarchy. Therefore, the answer will only deliver the consumers into the hands of foreign larger producers. I hope that with the reasons I've established, I'm able to convince you into seeing the same opinion as I share. Thank you.
According to Jamie Shan, and I quote, "Don't blindly follow someone, follow market and try to hear what he's telling you." Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, the distinguished panel of judges, time moderators, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed invited guests, my fellow debaters. I'm Fakol Jotofmi from Alberta Academy, and I strongly affirm that the African Free Trade Agreement is a cankerworm that is aimed at devastating the Africans and the African community at large, especially Nigeria. History has it that President Muhammad Buhari of Nigeria initially refused the signing of the African Free Trade Agreement. Why? This is because he himself knew that that is not what Nigerians needed at that point. Nigerians needed a president that would stand for them and refuse that signing. But unfortunately, at the end of the day, it was still signed. The agreement moved on. But we realized that after the agreement was signed, months later, we found out, news got round that the borders got closed. Why? This is because whether the agreement was signed or not, we still have to stand for the fact that Nigerians need to be independent, Nigerians need to stand for themselves, and Nigerians need to be self-reliant. The following valid points are to negate the initial conception and not to mention the realization that the African Free Trade Agreement is a bad news for Nigeria. Why? First, low export to import ratio. What do I mean by this? This means that the rate at which goods are imported is way less than the rate at which goods are exported. The Nigerian Bureau of Statistics stated that 0.35 trillion naira was spent on the export of Nigerian products between the year 2016 and 2018. In contrast, 2.39 trillion naira was spent on the import of goods from other countries to Nigeria between that same year. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that more money is spent on importing goods than exporting goods, which makes Nigeria Nigerians net food importers. Secondly, low value of agricultural products by Nigerians. We as Nigerians need to value our own agricultural products. If we don't value our own agricultural products, if we don't patronize our own entrepreneurs and local manufacturers, how do we expect other countries like Ghana, South Africans to patronize us? We need to encourage ourselves. We need to patronize ourselves. We don't have to undermine our own country's product, because our country's product is good the way it is. We don't need to depend on other countries' products, because Nigeria, and I repeat, Nigeria is a wonderful country for agricultural produces. Lastly, we as Nigerians,
Sorry. Please, before she puts out her own argument, I'd like to just let us know that we won't allow so much movement at the back there again. And also, we've been hearing about whisperings. It's sort of distracting the debaters, so please let's reduce the volume of our conversations or completely eliminate them, so they can actually focus on what they're doing. I know we all want your schools to win, so please let's encourage others as well. Let's not distract them. Thank you.
Sometimes in 2018, the idea of AFTA was first broached. A year after, Nigeria became a member. However, just recently, we see that Nigeria shut our borders again. Kudos to the federal government. Smart move. Such a brilliant idea. Why, you might wonder, am I saying this? Before I answer your question, I would like to give honor to whom it is due by saying, good day, Mr. Chairman, a partial panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, my co-debaters, and my audience. My name is Omshokwe Orofe, a student of the distinguished Good Shepherd Schools, and I am here to strongly advocate for the scrapping of the AFTA. What does the AFTA stand for, you may wonder? It simply means the African Continental Free Trade Area. It's an agreement that allows African countries to trade with reduced tariffs and reduced formalities. It is aimed at integrating Africa, globalization, and the likes. But I put it to you strongly that all these points I mentioned are platitudes, empty words, sweet nothings, and a dream that can never, will never, and shall never come to pass. Before I even launch into my argument, let us look at these three strong points that rubbishes everything that AFTA stands for. 1, we do not speak the same language. 2, we do not have a common border. 3, we do not spend the same currency. If we're going to be conducting free trade, we have to pick a common language. If I want to trade with you, I have to speak your language. Which language do you want to trade with? Is it English? Is it French? Is it Portuguese? Are you willing to start learning a new language today? I don't think so. My next point, we do not have a common border. It is not the same laws and mechanisms that govern our border system. Look at Ethiopia. They use automated custom system. But look at Nigeria. We use pen and paper. My next point, we do not speak the same language. So we do not have a common... Okay. Now, to back this my strong points are the following points. 1, Nigeria may become a dumping ground. 2, choking of local SMEs. 3, scrapping the AFTA is a blessing to Nigerian farmers. 4th, reduction in tax revenues. 5th, inequality in what we stand to gain. 6th, reduction in employment opportunities. 7, uncontrolled immigration. 8, imposition of harmful and substandard goods. 9, degradation of natural resources. Now let me explain. My first point, Nigeria may become a dumping ground for goods. The AFTA demands that countries reduce the tariffs on about 90% of the goods. Let's not even bother to have borders if that's the case. When this happens, we see that there will be an influx of foreign goods in our country. And these goods will be sold at cheaper prices than those made in the country. When this happens, there will be a higher demand for foreign-made goods than goods made in the country. Nigeria will become a dumping ground, and this does not bode well for the country at all. Second, choking of local SMEs. If the AFTA continues, like I already said, there will be an influx of foreign goods into the country. When this happens, our producers will make goods only for them to rot. In an interview with the BBC, a farmer talked about how last year alone they produced about 20 million tons of maize. Imagine this, and we still have maize being brought into the country. I put it to you that if the AFTA is not scrapped, the larger percent of these goods will rot. Do we really want this to happen? I doubt it. My next point, reduction in employment opportunities. The AFTA will lead to reduction in employment opportunities. Nigeria has had a persistent increase in level of unemployment. Universities and other higher institutions keep on churning out graduates in their thousands, year after year. Most of these graduates end up either unemployed or underemployed. Now imagine a scenario where foreigners are allowed to enter the country. Of course, they'll take what little job opportunities we have left. Do you really want this to happen? Yes, my opponents will come here and tell me that the AFTA is a blessing to us. They had better be joking. My next point, reduction in tax revenue. One of the ways through which the Nigerian government makes money is through imposition of tariffs on goods being brought into the country. Now, when they say we should reduce tariffs on about 90% of the goods, what will the government have left to spend? My next point, inequality in what we stand to gain. Nigeria is not an advanced country, and as such, it's not an advanced country technologically, and as such, we cannot mass produce in order to export to other countries. Imagine a country like Nigeria with bad roads, epileptic power supply, polluted water system, backward communication system, attempting to trade with a country like South Africa with an inflation rate of 4.1 as opposed to our own 11.2. Isn't this as absurd as a 3-year-old attempting to trade with an accomplished business cycle? And yet you still say the AFTA should stay. My final point, degradation of natural resources. Like I've already said, the AFTA will lead to an influx of people into the country, which will lead to a stretching and stressing of our barely adequate resources. Look at those in the Niger Delta region. Even without the AFTA, we see what they are suffering from pollution of waterways, and then the AFTA should come and stay. Do you really still think the AFTA should stay? With this strong and irrefutable point of mine, I know without an iota of doubt that I'll be able to draw you over to my side and convince you that there can be no happily ever after. For this is unholy matrimony, this is unholy union, this is unholy wedlock, and as such, it should be scrapped, banished, destroyed, and removed forever and ever. Once again, my name is Omisha Boyrofe. Thank you for listening.
Good day, Mr. Chairman, panel of judges, accurate time peoples, co-debaters, and my audience. My name is Sanusi Azizat, and I'm here to speak against the African Free Trade Agreement. Firstly, I would like to give a quick overview of what the African Free Trade Agreement entails. The African Free Trade Agreement is a trade bloc agreement by Association of Southeast Asian nations in order to support local manufacturing in all Asian countries. It is a collective effort of Asian members to eliminate and reduce tariffs on intra-Asian trade. Their objective is to create an integrated domestic market that will increase the region's competitive edge as a production base in the world market. But the question now is the African Free Trade Agreement really beneficial to Nigeria as a country? And the answer is no, and I'll give reasons for my answer. Firstly, I would like to tell us one of the objectives of AFTA, which is to create an open border policy where countries can freely move goods from one country to another. But an open border policy has low possibilities of working perfectly in Nigeria. This is because it will give advantage to all other African countries to import fake, expired, and illicit products into our country. So there is no doubt that this African Free Trade Agreement will make Nigeria a dumping ground for all other African countries. Also, the regulations of AFTA will impose foreign products on Nigerians, and this will cause the presence of local products to be less appreciated. It will reduce the rate of patronage of local products, and it will make the efforts of our local producers go to vain, as their products won't be available for market sale, let alone for consumers to patronize. Also, free trade agreements will increase the level of unemployment in our country. It will reduce the number of job opportunities that are available in inefficient industries. It will eliminate this policy of saving a job at any cost, even if opportunities are shrinking in industries. Free trade agreement is responsible for 20% of job losses in the world today. Because when this agreement are signed with highly capable countries and those with relatively few products, then there will be zero job creation measures that develop over time. Also, free trade agreement rarely protects the environment. How? This is because free trade agreements rarely protect the environment. This is because the goal for businesses in developed countries is to exploit natural resources in regions where regulations are not strict, like Nigeria. Where regulations are not strict, like Nigeria. Regulations are not strict, like Nigeria. Free trade agreements also stiffens international competition for domestic economies. It only guarantees that there can be gain that occur because of enhanced activities in the import and export market. Free trade agreements reduce its free trade. Tax trouble is also one of the disadvantages of African free trade agreement. A free trade agreement can hinder the ability of a country to collect taxes from domestic corporations. A country like Nigeria, that has free trade and free flow of capitals outside of its borders, it can lead to migrations of portable industries in the country. Thank you.
Whoa. You'll quite agree with me that it's been quite interesting. Have you gained something? Have you learned something? Do you now have a better perspective about the African Free Trade Agreement, the Continental Free Trade Agreement? Do you now understand what it's all about? Now you know about the pros and the cons from the conversation we're having here. Let's put our hands together again for the lead speakers from each of the schools. Now, one of the points that have been reiterated by most of the speakers who are speaking against the motion is that it will make Nigeria become a dumping ground. Do you all agree? Do you all agree? Oh, you're saying no. Okay. Thanks for still upholding your ground. Okay, so. And these speakers will be speaking for just 3 minutes. They're coming up to further buttress what the lead speakers have said. So they'll be coming up in the same order that we had the other time. So we're going to have Top Flight College first, followed by Diadem College. Top Flight College, can I see your hand? Okay, followed by Diadem, and followed by Queensland Academy. So they are supporting the lead speakers in favor of the motion. So they'll be coming up to support in favor of the motion. So let's put our hands together for Top Flight College.
Standing on the existing protocol, my name is Montreal Wimbo, and I'm a bona fide student of Top Flight College. And I'm here to buttress the words of the chief speaker of my school. Here are the advantages of the African Free Trade Agreement over the domestic trade. Number one, it increases the efficiency. When a country and another country are into a trading business, the other country wants to be better, and they come to par and become competitors, healthy competition for that matter. And therefore, it increases the quality, increases the efficiency, increases the output of that country. it increases the income also of that country. Now, my opponents were talking about the dumping ground issue. Well, I would like to tackle that. The African Trade Agreement only creates a passage for countries to trade. When you bring in the issue of being a dumping ground, that boils down to the country not having a very secured system when it comes to importing. Also, we have lowered prices. When two or more countries are into trade and they have a very high quality, and you see citizens of various countries varying the prices, the quality, it leads to other countries decreasing the price so that they can get more income. How do you think they rate countries in Africa? How do you think they rate countries in the world? It's not about your domestic value. It's about your international value. How much you can make from another country. How much you can make from the world. Now, the Benin Republic we're all talking about is the 6th largest importer of rice and number 1 largest importer of used cars. You won't see much cars in their country. Why? They sell to other countries to enrich themselves. The rice, they bring it down here, and it's not as if we dump it or do anything with it. We eat it. And nobody has ever talked about that until this whole African Trade Agreement came up. We also have exchange of technology, culture, language, and currency. When a country like Nigeria is trading with a country like Congo, the language is going to be different, surely. The culture is going to be different, normal. But as they trade consistently, one country learns from the other. They learn the culture, they learn the language, they learn their way of life. When another country steps in to join the communal trade, it becomes that the two countries come together, introduce the other country, teach the rules and regulations of their trade. I would like to conclude with this. When a country is not gaining much from another country, that is not symbiotic, that is parasitic. And so, every country should be allowed to trade with each other so as to develop themselves economically, politically, and socially. Thank you.
All protocols duly observed. My name is Ogunbe Kofeta, and I'm here to support the motion African Free Trade Agreement. African Free Trade Area is a free trade area which was outlined in the African Free Trade Agreement, which consists of 54 or 55 trade union nations. The only nation which has inside this agreement is Eritrea. African Free Trade Agreement is the biggest in terms of participating countries since the formation of the World Trade Organization. African Free Trade Area aims to create a single continental market for goods and services, aims to facilitate regional economical communities, aims to improve intra-African trade through better coordination and liberalization from trade. It aims to make the integration process more easier. It aims to solve overlapping memberships. It aims to create opportunities for skill production, continental market access, and it also aims to create opportunities for making better use of resources. United Nations Conference on Trade and Development published a research paper in February 2018 saying that if the African Free Trade Agreement was put into order, it will create opportunity for sustainable development to each African country. A major aim in African Free Trade Agreement is it improves intra-African trade. If every African country has one resource which they have each unique resources. If they develop this, they can break it into their markets, and the African Free Trade Agreement will be able to sell this into each market. I'll make sure that each African country will be able to use new products which are produced by their fellow Africans. And one disadvantage of African Free Trade Agreement is adverse working conditions. Laborers from poorer countries come and they say that they force them to work. They force them to work with A call for others who are laborers from poor countries are forced to work for longer periods and without basic amenities like water and electricity. But no, Africa Free Trade Agreement offers them job position and steady salaries. Without this, can they feed their families? Can they even feed themselves? What are we doing to fix this? As I said, they can't work without African Free Trade Agreements. African Free Trade Agreement also helps. Now, I remember when Nigeria, before they gained their independence, the British collectors gave us £865,000, which was a huge amount back in the days. And we gave them our oil before they overthrew us, and we got colonized by them before we gained our independence in 1st October 1960. African Free Trade Agreements can also help to improve regional and economical communities across Africa, which means in Nigeria, we majorly say our major resource is oil, but we have other resources like limestone and coal from Enugu. But if we do not use, after all I've said, I hope I've convinced you the African Free Trade Agreement is the way to go. Thank you.
My name is Okeke Bube. I'm a student of Crystal Academy. I'm here to support the African Free Trade Agreement. Firstly, I would like to state the advantage of this agreement. It will enable goods to be sold at a lower price. Because of the removal of the tariffs, producers will be able to export their goods and people will be able to import the goods without paying tariffs, and this will enable them to reduce the prices. I would also like to talk on the arguments by the opposition saying that it will lead to a reduction in the employment opportunities. Studies by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development have stated that in the European Union, there has been a 6% reduction in the employment opportunities throughout the European Union. This is because free trade enables the sharing of unemployment throughout the continent, allowing people to find better opportunities for them to take advantage of. For example, someone who is selling what the country has a lot of can find another opportunity in another country selling pepper. Let me say the country doesn't have enough supply of pepper. It helps person to move into it and make good money. And I would also like to state, I would also like to tackle the opposition's argument on the dumping of goods. If there are very good procedures and security in the borders, it helps the country to regulate what is entering into the country so as to prevent dumping of goods. And I would also like to talk on the closing of the borders of Nigeria. It has not helped really much because it has led to an increase in the price of agricultural products such as rice and thereabouts. Because of the farmers in this country are not able to provide enough for the country, it has led to an increase in the price of such agricultural products. And the African Free Trade Agreement will also help to spread immigrants across the African continent, which will therefore help to increase the productivity in the country and lead to an increase in the gross domestic produce. With these points, I hope I'll be able to convince you into siding with the African Free Trade Agreement. Thank you.
To support against, we have Charles Sidoni, Lane-Crest International College, Hebron Heights, Standard Foundation College, Alberta Academy, Good Shepherd Schools, and Arresta Divine School, in that order. Charles Sidoni.
African Free Trade Agreement and its controversies. African Free Trade and its controversies. It was signed to bring about, to benefit others. It was signed to benefit all. Instead, it brought out several controversies and disadvantages. Good day, Mr. Chairman, panel of judges, accurate timekeepers, my co-debaters, and my attentive audience. My name is Jessica Grantizeri, and I'm here supporting what my colleague has said based on the topic African Free Trade and its controversies. In addition to what he has said, African Free Trade Agreement, sorry. In addition to what he has said, African Free Trade Agreement actually has more disadvantages than its advantages. Some of these disadvantages are as follows. Firstly, it encourages dumping. What is dumping? Dumping is a situation whereby developed countries dispose goods which are of no value to them into less developed countries. This situation causes pollution and congestion. Secondly, it also brings about the importation of harmful and dangerous goods. Goods like drugs, that is cocaine, marijuana, guns, so on. Since the agreement suggests the free flow of goods in and out of countries, it's easy for goods like this to enter the country without any barriers. This situation will cause problems in the long run and also increase the crime rates of that country. Furthermore, it reduces the effort to attain self-reliance. Countries which are individuals believe from this agreement that they can easily get goods from outside the country. They can easily get their food, their clothing, their income, anything. And then they begin to rely on on other countries for everything they need. This will destroy their culture of self-sufficiency and their independence. Last but not the least, African Free Trade Agreement leads to exploitation of countries. Countries which are well developed and are highly industrialized end up taking advantage of countries that are less developed, and this isn't right. In fact, it is a fact that many well-developed countries import goods from less developed countries, such as, let's say, cocoa, textile, and they process them into finished goods like beverages and clothing and all, and still end up selling these products to the less developed countries at extremely high prices. This is a basic form of exploitation, and it's really wrong, but African Free Trade Agreement has opened the gateway for this to happen. In conclusion, African Free Trade Agreement is highly controversial and is more of a problem than a benefit. It shouldn't be advised because of its controversies and disadvantages. Thank you.
Good day, Chairman, panel of judges, my accurate timekeeper, my co-debaters, and my attentive audience. My name is Ayoba Milemboye, and I am here to oppose the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. First, what is the African Continental Free Trade Agreement? This is an open border policy between the countries of Africa to be able to trade within their borders. Has Nigeria benefited from this open border policy as a country? Well, I would gladly look you in the eyes and tell you no. Nigeria has never benefited from this open border policy. We are known as the giants of Africa. We need no help from other countries to be able to improve. So why would you tell me that we need help from other countries to improve? Firstly, the open border policy leads to the smuggling of inexquisite goods into the country, as well as drugs and other forms of ammunition. This open border is one of the main causes of the insecurity we have in Nigeria today. And yet we look for the main cause of the insecurity we have in Nigeria today. Another thing is the competition between our local farmers and foreign farmers. I'll look you in the eyes and tell you the truth that the Nigerian government hasn't done so well in providing our local farmers with the tools and equipment they need to utilize the fertile lands we have in Africa today, in Nigeria today. And this will give them a disadvantage to be able to compete with foreign farmers. And we as Nigerians, we tend to buy from the foreign farmers because we think that that the quality of their goods are better than the quality of our local farmers, just because they have the tools and equipment to be able to use their own fertile lands. Another reason is that depletion of our environment. When fertile lands are not being used, our industries tend to disregard these lands and turn them into dumping sites for their products and their refuse. Another reason is the fear of Nigeria becoming a dumping ground by other countries. This means that other countries tend to flood Nigerian market with their own product. Meanwhile, we Nigerians, we are not selling other products to other countries, neither are we exporting other products. Another reason is that if this closed border policy goes on, Nigerians will be able to feed solely on our own food products, which would enlighten our government to provide the utilities and the tools that our local farmers need to be able to use our fertile land, and it will also lead to the increment in our economy. According to Professor Kolawole Adebayo of the Department of Rural Sociology, he said that this recent border closure is a short-term solution to the long-term problem we Nigerians have. I'm sure most of you are not familiar with the groundnut pyramid in Kano. That is because the groundnut pyramid was one of the most successful groundnut producing markets that we have. But due to this open border policy, it couldn't meet its financial means and then led to the extinction of the groundnut pyramid. And also, I believe, as Professor Kolawole Adebayo has said, that if Nigerians can be able to bear for this short term, the long-term results will be enjoyable by the country. Thank you.
Standing on existing protocols, my name is Dr. Panelli, a representative of Urbanized College, Ikorodu, here to oppose the African Free Trade Agreement. The United Nations Economic Council for Africa states that the African Free Trade Agreement could increase African economy by 50% in 2022, compared with levels in 2011. But notice the conditional statement could. This means that the African Free Trade Agreement could either be detrimental or beneficial to Nigeria. Now, the African Free Trade aims to cut tariffs by 90%, but at what expense? To what expense? To the expense of the local small and medium-scale enterprises. With the introduction of the African Free Trade Agreement, small and medium-scale enterprises, in particular farmers and agro-allied industries, will not be given enough opportunity to grow, as they'll be choking, leading as they would like to compete with their foreign counterparts by cutting their prices lower than expected, leading to huge loss of sales. Furthermore, laborers from poorer countries may be forced to work long hours and live in shanties without basic social amenities like food, electricity, and water. These adverse conditions can lead to decrease in the output and also discouragement of youth in the involvement of agriculture as a whole. Now, one of my opponents said that the Fulani herdsmen are attacking other tribes in Nigeria. But I wonder where he got that from, because the Fulani tribe is not a Nigerian tribe. The Fulani tribe is a Cameroonian tribe that came to settle in Nigeria a long time ago. Now, this brings me to my last point. Nelson Mandela once said, and I quote, "The unity of Africa is paramount to us all." No doubt, but to what extent? To what expense? To the expense of the peace and tranquility of our nation, I say no. Nigeria, as a country, definitely with the involvement of the African Free Trade Agreement, there will be open borders which will lead to free entry of foreigners from neighboring countries. These cases led to the difficult apprehension of terrorists like the Boko Haram and the Fulani herdsmen, because they were shuffling between countries which had open borders. Please, my fellow Nigerians, debates like this were created to create awareness on the disadvantageous effects of African Free Trade Agreement on Nigeria and Nigerians as a whole. I would like for us not to allow this menace in the form of African Free Trade Agreement to destroy Nigeria beyond the way it already is. Thank you.
All protocols duly observed. My name is Badejo Precious. I'm a student of Standard Foundation College, and I stand to speak against the Africa Free Trade Agreement. To buttress some points in which my co-speaker has given earlier, I would like to mention some of the negative effects of the African Free Trade Agreement. Firstly, it serves as an obstacle to the development of agricultural industries in our country. When foreign goods are imported freely into our country, agricultural industries will not be able to develop rapidly due to the superior strength of the foreign industries. Secondly, it gives foreign industries the opportunities to freely import expired, adulterated, and harmful goods into the country. For instance, the newly impounded bags of rice at the Seme border, which if brought into the country, would have affected the citizens by leaving them with diseases such as diarrhea, vomiting, and also leave them in other life-threatening positions. Let's not forget that these bags of rice were brought in under a closed border policy. Let's imagine if it was under an open border policy. Are we going to watch the foreign countries bring in their harmful imported goods and make Nigeria a foreign ground? No, we ain't going to watch that. Thirdly, it gives rise to unhealthy rivalry between local producers and farmers and foreign producers and farmers. Definitely, when foreign producers import their goods into the country, consumers will prefer to go for the foreign goods over the local goods, therefore discouraging our own local producers and farmers. And this can lead them to take drastic measures to make sure that their own product becomes the top choice of consumers. I hope with this cogent point of mine, I've been able to convince you and not to confuse you that the Africa Free Trade Agreement should not be implemented. Thank you.
Standing on the same protocol, I Treasurer Adekunle, stand to buttress the raised and expatiated point from my chief speaker that Africa Free Continental Trade Agreement is a bad news for Nigeria as a country. First off, poor infrastructures. For agricultural products to be accessible both internationally and locally, we need effective transportive systems. Our roads are not car-worthy. Our few airports cannot compete internationally. Our railways are nowhere to be found. Other infrastructures like electricity, water, seaports, etc. are grossly inadequate or just nowhere to be found. The Federal Institute of Industrial Research, Oshodi, FIIRO, puts Nigeria post-harvest losses at $9 billion annually. Why? Because of the lack of facilities. So how do you expect Africa Free Continental Trade to work when we don't have infrastructures like electricity and water? That is why Africa Free Continental Trade Agreement is a bad news for Nigeria. Moving on to my next point. High inflation and unemployment rate. The Director General of Nigeria Employers Consultative Association, Mr. Timothy Olawale, stated that the rate of unemployment in Nigeria is 23.1. The rate of underemployment in Nigeria is 16.6, and it is projected that in the year 2020, it is going to increase by 33.5. Inflation will go. Inflation will. That is why Africa Free Continental Trade is a bad news to Nigeria as a country. My last point, moving division in Africa. The Holy Book said, before two can work together, they have to agree. Before two business partners can actually become business partners, they have to agree to become business partners. The unity among African countries are very volatile. Recurrent civil wars and xenophobic attacks have been of my witnesses. That is why I stand here buttressing the point of Africa Free Continental Trade is a bad news for Nigeria. Trade, the exchange of goods and services, has its history dating back to the origin of man. However, some changes have occurred to fine-tune the concept. Pardon my manners. All protocols duly observed. My name is Lai Adeloye Adiola, an ambassador of the prestigious, exquisite, and unrivaled Good Shepherd Schools, Lagos. And I'm here to strongly argue that the AFTA should be scrapped. The AFTA, which was recently ratified by the Nigerian government, has no place to stay in Africa, as individualism is the core concept of most African countries. To back my point are 9 solid points, which are: 1. The economic hazard of AFTA to Nigerian farmers. 2. Where is the unity? 3. AFTA is just a scheme to copy the European world. 4. Aiding and abetting of crime and illegal immigration. 5. Terrorism. 6. Pollution of culture. 7. Unhealthy competition. 8. Moving to my first point. Where is the unity? In case you don't know, a house divided against itself cannot stand. Africa is divided, and it's only in dreams and choices we could be one. If I'm wrong, then now the xenophobic attack coming, where brothers and sisters of the South African origin pounce on the flesh of their counterparts from other African countries. Excuse me, why is that done? Also in Libya, people were killed due to difference in religion. Must I switch religion to trade with such country? Moreover, in Nigeria, our dear Ruga settlement scheme is yet to be accepted by all. And here are we, indirectly importing double trouble for ourselves. What double malady? Moving on to my next point. AFTA is just a scheme to copy the European world. The Holy Writ says, if the foundation be destroyed, what can the righteous do? The foundation of AFTA, which is the African Union, has no basis at all, and it is only copied from the European Union. I mean, what do you expect? Even the European Union, the great establishment, is falling into thread as our colonial masters, our strong ally, the Great Britain, is about to fall apart from the Union. Look, it will only be stupid of us, it will only be irresponsible of us to fall into this union. Why can't we just take the indicative from our colonial masters and learn our lesson so that we don't make the same mistakes that our forefather has made? Yes, we have the market. Yes, the AFTA could increase our GDP in the foreseeable future, but the timing is bad. We are not ready. We are not ready because we have not done enough to give us an upper hand. We are not ready because we cannot cater for our own market. We are not ready because our corruption has eaten deep into the system. And what tells you that this AFTA will not worsen the blow for the common man? This is the Nigerian reality. We had pyramids of groundnut, emphasis on ad. We had about 250 textile companies at independence, emphasis on ad. We had a governance whose priority was the welfare of the citizens, emphasis still on ad. I could go on and on. But the thing is, will it be wise for us to continue with this decision? That is for you to think and to resolute. Thank you.
Nigeria has been termed a dumping ground. Is this really true? Well, it is, in my opinion, because it is true in my opinion because of the low quality products that are imported in the country on daily basis. I am Les Leoti from Arresta Divine Secondary School, and I'm here to enlighten you on the cons of the AFTA free trade agreement. Firstly, it is very detrimental to our health in the sense that there are so many smuggled products that enter into the country on a daily basis. And it's very detrimental to Nigerian consumers' health because on a daily basis, Nigerians die. People say that Nigerians die from hunger, but actually, it's what we get from the foods we eat. Secondly, I would like to talk about a point that no one talked about. It hinders the unlocking of creative minds in the country. It is so overwhelming that a Nigerian enjoys using a product that is being imported from a country, where xenophobic attacks are being carried out. It is very, very disappointing that you would encourage the use of this product. Well, I think that using these products might be really harmful to us because we're actually giving money to these countries And we should learn how to encourage other people like entrepreneurs so we can unlock creative minds in the country. This will actually help us to be independent and we won't be dependent on other countries. Thank you.
Another round of applause for all the speakers. So we've had 2 rounds so far. We've had the first round for the main speakers and the second round for the supporting speakers. So what will happen now is that the main speakers who have further points to add to tie up their points will come up for 2 minutes, just 2 minutes, to tie up whatever they need to tie up. And afterwards, after the main speakers have tied up their points, we will call for members of the audience who have 1 or 2 things to say. I think we'll just give room for just 2 people to come up. Or maybe we should allow teachers to come up and say something. We should give the teachers the chance to come up and say something. So 2 teachers will be given the opportunity to come up here to say something, either in favor or against the motion. So that's how it's just going to be. So now it's going to be in that order again. So if you don't have anything to say, no problem. But then if you have something to say, you only have just 2 minutes to say it. Is that okay? So afterwards, 2 teachers, a male and a female teacher, 1 in favor and 1 opposing the motion. Thank you. Let's give the lead speakers another round of applause as they come up for their second round.
Hello. Standing on the existing protocol, my name still remains Precious Ejima. Okay, I would like to say something. I would like to oppose what my opponent said. If you don't use foreign products, why are you using DSTV? Why are you using DSTV? Because DSTV is not a Nigerian product. And I don't see any reason why you should support you not using DSTV. Okay, now let's also say this. Let's be truthful about this. Let's be honest. The so-called dumping ground that you call Nigeria, those second-hand cards, some of our parents are using them. Why don't you tell your parents, please, mommy, please, daddy, stop using second-hand cards. They are rubbish. They are this or they are that. No, you fail to use the word recycling country. Why? That is actually just a lack of knowledge. Because now, you call this country a dumping ground, but my dear sisters and brothers, you actually fail to use the correct word. Also, you say that that we should close the border. Okay, now, let's be truthful about this. Since when we've closed the border, my dear, let's tell ourselves the truth. Let's be factual. It has actually not benefited to us. It has actually not been of good help. Because you now know that petroleum has increased. Every single thing in Nigeria has increased. For what? For no good reason. So tell me why you should support the motion of closing the borders of Nigeria, which is very, very bad. Also, you say Nigeria, we rubber rights and all sorts. This is because there's a saying that says, united we stand and divided we fall. No person, nobody, no country is an island of knowledge. You can't be independent. You cannot say that you have everything all. Definitely, there's some things you lack, and there's some things we all lack in our lives. Let's not be perfect, because only God Almighty is perfect. Also, let's not refer this to the Bible. That, we all know that Jesus Christ, if he was domestic about his gospel, we all here will know about him. Am I correct or not? Definitely, the answer is yes. Thank you very much.
All protocols duly observed. Okay, I would like to correct the notion of closed borders. It's a sentimental point to say that this open borders is not going to help us at all, because every country experiences smuggling. There is no country that is not expensive, but it depends on how the government or the policies that are laid down that says how those things that are smuggled in, maybe they'll go into the country, or they stop at the border and are returned back, or the senders are punished. Also, foreign rights or local rights, When something is good, you won't want to go for the other. If our local rice is very good, no one will want to go for the foreign rice. It's because they see that our local rice are not good, then they decide that, okay, the foreign rice is good, let's go for this. And when the foreigners see that we purchase their rice more, they increase the price. Therefore, the Nigerian farmers are discouraging themselves by not producing what is right, and the foreigners are gaining. Also, that one of the opponents said that Nigeria does not need help because we are a giant of Africa. Being a giant does not mean that we should not be giant mentally. No one is an island of knowledge. We all need help. Now, we want everybody to practice farming, mechanized farming for that matter. We need equipment. We should all know that not all countries can do all things by themselves. Nigeria is not good at mechanized instruments. So we therefore need the help of countries that are mechanically inclined so we can get mechanized instruments in our farming and help our farming. I hope with these few points, I'll be able to elaborate on the use of the African free trade.
All protocols duly observed. My name is Adedola Kwolalapo. I feel like my opponents are blinded by their views and they fail to see that there are many advantages of open border policy, such as growth of the nation, economic development, infrastructural development, and also political development. No man is an island. Humans in nature, we are social animals. It means we have to interact. Without interacting with one another, we can't achieve success. Imagine coming to school, not coming to school, saying you can learn it on your own. Without the internet, without teachers, we are not going anywhere because we need help from other people, whether we fail to realize, whether we fail to admit it or not to ourselves. We need to reach out to others so we can get more from them. We can learn their culture, we can mix our cultures and make Africa a better place. Don't say, oh, because I cook my rice this way, I should not learn the way other people cook their rice. We have to mix cultures in order for Africa to be greater. Thank you.
All protocols duly observed. Now, most of us have said that no man is an island, and Nigeria cannot succeed without communicating with others. But our success isn't determined by others. Our success is determined purely by us. Now, another point of mine is that of Nigeria isn't psychologically and mentally ready to handle policies. If the implementation of the African cultural food trade isn't accompanied by appropriate policies, which Nigeria isn't ready to do, or any African nation isn't ready to do, it will only lead to detrimental effects. So all I've come to say here is we should open our eyes and we should all be wise in the aspects looking at it from both sides. And it's very obvious today that the negative effects of the African continental food trade is more than the positive effects. Thank you.
All protocols observed, I'm here to elaborate on my points, and I would also like to say that the African Free Trade Agreement would also be inimical to the economic progress of the country because of the African Free Trade Agreement also debilitates the closed borders. The closed borders are advantageous to the country because it will allow the country to be able to secure food security, and food will later be cheaper. When I'm talking about food being cheaper, food will be able to be cheaper in the sense that somebody will be able to buy food at the end and will be full. We just little amount of money. And in the beginning of this debate, somebody mentioned about hunger killing our children and so on. But because of the closed borders, we will be able to build up our country and food will be relatively cheap for people. So the average man will be able to have a full-scale meal and be able to live. Because in this, the people who are dying, among them could be one of the greatest people who are going to put Nigeria back on the place on the map. And also, I also like to talk about the fees that are being paid to those who are securing the open borders. Nigeria as a country, we're just paying different amounts of money just for places that we don't really need. As the closed border is, the money that is going to be paid for those who are going to be watching them will not be will not be necessary anymore because we don't need to pay money for those who are standing at the gate because the borders are already closed. And I also have to elaborate on the Asian tigers. China is among the Asian tigers, Singapore, Taiwan, and so on. But the case study right now is China. Because in the past, when China's economy was bad, they had to build up their economy, so they closed the border just like Nigeria's did. They stopped importation and they were producing their own goods and services. So they were trying to build up their own economy, just like how Nigeria is trying to do. And they focused on education and local crafts. And this was how China was able to build up their economy. They also performed something called brain drain, in the sense that their scholars were sent into other countries to be able to learn the inner workings of the other countries, and they bring them back to be able to build up their country. So I believe these are just one of the measures which Nigeria is trying to use to build up its country. And as we decline this African Free Trade Agreement, this is going to be one of the greatest things that will happen. Thank you.
Still on the existing protocol, I remain Adekugbo Oluwatumise. I was here earlier to tell you why we shouldn't involve ourselves in the African Free Trade Agreement. This is so because our infant industries need to be protected. This cannot be achieved when we leave our borders wide open for foreign goods. This argument for protection is of great importance to countries like ours, Nigeria. Nigeria is rich in natural resources and therefore possesses vast potentialities for industrial growth. But owing to competition from other countries, take the Nigerian Institute for Oil Palm Research, for instance. Where is it now? Is it still as functional as it ought to be? Well, I leave you to answer that question. Free trade is responsible for over 20% of job losses, which occurs in the world today. Do you still think that this free trade is the best option for countries like ours, Nigeria, who is still presently battling for high rates of unemployment? Lee Hsien Loong once said, when we interview our world leaders, everybody will say they are for free trade. But what they mean by it and what they do when they say they are pro-free trade, you have to watch and see. Thank you.
Standing on all existing protocol, my name is Diamond Ufuma, still from Standard Foundation Schools. We are all talking about the benefits of a free trade agreement. Nobody has thought about our health. See, when the free trade agreement will allow free movement of people into the country, and then people with health issues come into countries with higher health facilities, seeking for medical attention, and who will feel this pinch? The citizens of the destination countries. Congressman Henry Clay once said, the measure of a country's wealth is indicated by its protection of industries, and the poverty of a nation is marked by the neglect and care of its industries, leaving it exposed to foreign powers. Thank you.
So, I want to conclude with the fact that Nigeria has potential export growth, a high potential export growth and progress because of the fact that, in conclusion, Nigeria has potential export growth and progress and a lot to gain from the African Free Trade Agreement. But before we deal with the African Free Trade Agreement, why can't we buttress the fact that we have other problems like economic development to deal with, job creation for the youth of Nigeria, infrastructural facilities development, and so on and so forth. Thank you.
Yes, I'm back again to enlighten you more. Before I left, I didn't get to say something, so let me quickly tell you now that the after can lead to theft of intellectual properties. Foreigners will be able to come into the country and copy our ideas and sell it back to us at cheaper prices. Imagine having your idea being stolen and being unable to do anything about it. I shudder just to think about it. The AFTA will also lead to importation of substandard goods. As of now, the AFTA is here to tax anybody with the screening of goods being brought into the country. This means that bad goods like hard drugs and goods of substandard qualities will find their way into the country. Did I remind you of the cases we had of plastic rice being imported into the country? Is it until you start eating plastic gari that you learn your lesson? I could go on, but let me just end it on this note. The aftermath of AFTA can only be disaster.
1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 24 25 26 27 28 29 30 31 32 33 34 35 36 37 38 39 40 41 42 43 44 45 46 47 48 49 50 51 52 53 54 55 56 57 58 59 60 61 62 63 64 65 66 67 68 69 70 71 72 73 74 75 76 77 78 79 80 81 82 83 84 85 86 87 88 89 90 91 92 93 94 95 96 97 98 99 100 101 102 103 104 105 106 107 108 109 110 111 112 113 114 115 116 117 118 119 120 121 122 123 124 125 126 127 128 129 130 131 132 133 134 135 136 137 138 139 140 141 142 143 144 145 146 147 148 149 150 151 152 153 154 155 156 157 158
All protocols duly observed. From a strategic perspective, the African Free Trade Agreement will leave our country, Nigeria, vulnerable because it will cause the closure of critical local industries. And if Nigeria is dependent on other countries for critical products, then there is no doubt that critical goods and services needed by Nigeria would not be given to us because there might be sudden disagreement between countries importing goods to Nigeria. And this is what my opponent fails to understand. I hope with this point of mine, I'll be able to convince you that the African Free Trade Agreement will not be beneficial to Nigeria as a country. Thank you.
Another round of applause for all our debaters. You and I will agree that it isn't easy to be up here debating on such a crucial topic as this. But these youngsters have been able to muster enough courage to come up here to debate on this topic. Let's give them another round of applause. Thank you so very much. Thank you for all the efforts put in. We really appreciate your coming. We really appreciate your efforts. God bless you. Thank you so much. Now we're gradually coming to the end of this wonderful occasion. But like I said the other time, we're going to give two teachers the opportunity to come up stage and speak for just 1 minute each. They will come up stage here to share their opinion, either for or against the motion. So do we have two teachers who are ready? Okay, there's one hand there. Okay, and there is another one. So please come up stage. Two, actually. So you please tell us your name and the school you're representing. And you tell us whether you're speaking for or against the motion. 1 minute.
Thank you very much. I am Akonde Olalekon Anthony from Good Shepherd Schools. Now, just because of the time that we have, I would like to emphasize that we are not ready for this agreement at all. We have not given ourselves a solid ground. Sorry, I'm speaking against the agreement. Infrastructurally, we are not ready. We don't have light. Even our companies are relocating to other countries to be able to produce, and they are bringing it back here to sell for us at cheaper prices. Then another thing is, let's learn from what's happening in the United States. Let's learn from what is the Brexit that is going on. They are exiting from this agreement. Why do we want to enter it? Then another thing is, practice makes perfect. We've not given our farmers the chance to be able to produce what they have and then perfect what they have. You cannot, the rice we are importing to Nigeria, if you put it side by side with the local rice, you will always pick the one coming from another country. Why? Because they've perfected it. But when we don't give room for production here, then what are we talking about? So please, personally, I'm of the opinion that they should just throw this agreement out the window. Thank you.
All protocols duly observed. My name is Jide Dairo from Abesta Academy. For the past few minutes, we've listened to our children arguing over this same matter. But in my opinion, I think AFTA is a wonderful idea. I'm actually speaking against. AFTA is a brilliant idea. But for Nigeria at this time, we are just not ready. And why? Because Nigerian agricultural produce can't compete internationally. It takes our government to force Nigerians to buy made in Nigeria agricultural produce, and that is a problem. If all the borders are open and foreign agricultural products are brought into Nigeria, nobody will buy made in Nigeria products. And tell me, how will the jobs come from? Another point is that Nigeria is a consuming nation. For any nation to benefit from this agreement after, you must produce more than you consume. But Nigeria, we consume more than we produce. Insecurity is there, poor infrastructures are there, and all these points are why I think AFTA is bad for Nigeria at this time. Thank you.
A round of applause for our teachers. Can we have one more teacher speaking in favor of the motion? Okay, there's a female, so I'll just give her the chance to come up.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Onome. I'm from the Diadem College, and I'm speaking for the motion. I believe that there are a lot of resources, a lot of products that our fellow African countries have that we don't know about. Now, the AFTA will give us an opportunity of harnessing products that we are not even aware exist, that they sell to European countries and they process and sell back to us. Now, we are all saying it won't work. What if it works? Have we thought of it? Now, this idea of we don't even want to try, what if we try and it works out for us? I think this this African mentality of being at a point is not helping us. Let's try new ideas. If we try it doesn't work, fine. But since we've seen that there are some advantages, I think it's worth trying. Thank you.
Thank you. What if it works after all? What if our greatest fear doesn't come to pass? What if? So if we do not give it a try, we may not know what lies at the back of the agreement. So what if? Not USA, Ireland, or the UAE, then please stop by at their stand, Barak and Beacon, and get more information that you can take home to your parents. So please, ma'am, you tell us your name and the school you're representing. 30 seconds. Your time starts now.
My name is Mrs. Aya. I'm representing Top Flight College. What I want to talk about is opening our border is good. Why I say so is it enables us to see what is actually happening in the world, the way other people are presenting their food. You are producing corn. It enables us to know you are producing corn. You don't just stop at roasted corn. What can you do with your corn? Our problem is we are not roasting our meat. If we roast our meat, we will not have this problem. So let's start thinking of roasting our meat. It will solve the problem.
Okay, thank you. All she's trying to say is it's going to give room for innovation, creativity, exchange of ideas. That's what she was able to say within 30 seconds. Thank you so much, ma'am. Okay, like I said, we're gradually coming to the close of this beautiful occasion. How many of you have enjoyed yourself so far? Did you regret coming here? Was it a wasted time? Okay, I believe you've learned something. And this knowledge cannot be taken away from you. So this time was not wasted. You probably would have been at home watching TV or doing some other things. But you've been here and you've heard both sides of the divide. You've heard both sides of the arguments. And now you are well grounded. If you go out there, you can actually discuss in a balanced way this topic. So you won't be ashamed to open your mouth to contribute to this argument when you go out there. So now, whilst the panelists are basically compiling the results, I'd like to call on the resident pastor of Word Assembly, Pastor Isi Iyere. He's actually standing in for Pastor Philip, so he'll be giving us the chairman's speech. So a round of applause. Please, let's rise up. They're the ones who have allowed us this facility. Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
It's been an awesome time. Please, let's have our seat. Let's sit down. It's been wonderful listening to all the students here. I mean, they are all winners that you made it here today shows that you are a winner. It's just that for the judges, they have just the award for the first, second, third. Okay? But you are all winners, and you have all marshaled your points very well. I wish we had enough people speaking for, just as we have all of you speaking against. But any case, I think sitting there and just listening to you is being a job well done. I'm not sure where I stand, whether it's for or against. I'm in between. If there is anything in between, that's where I stand right now. But just, hearing the points from both sides make it so much a delight to listen to. Like he said, I'm standing in for my senior pastor, and we are also co-sponsors of this program. We believe so much as a church and as a ministry in supporting ventures like this that for us, speak a lot to students in the community by way of helping them to grow and becoming better people. And especially this one for us is special because you don't see too often organizations and people that want to, promote agriculture, but for the organizers to want to be able to, pick on a topic that speaks to every one of us. I was shocked, pleasantly shocked when I, heard the organizer mention that hunger kills as much as malaria does. So if hunger kills as much as malaria does, it means that every one of us must understand how to fight or how to tackle it. And that is what I believe is part of why we are here gathered. Then another thing for me as a pastor, I'm, happy that we have young men and young women here. If we are thinking of changing, the narratives of this country, I think it is hard time we begin to invest in these young ones. If I take my mind back into the scriptures again now, the Bible tells us in the book of Daniel from chapter 1, he said, the king of Babylon said, for Babylon to move from where they are to where they ought to be, I'm sure the king sat down and saw where he wanted Babylon to be. And he told them, enter into, the slaves that were brought from all the nations, especially the nation of Israel. He said, I want to see children that are smart, that are skillful, children that can stand before the king. He said, bring all of them before me and let us train them. That training, I want to take that training, as I say, let us send them to school and develop them so that over time they will turn this our kingdom, Babylon, into a kingdom that will be envied by all. And if you are a Christian like I am, you know what became of Daniel, Shadrach, and Abednego in that land. They began to dictate their life in that land. I also believe that the same way, the young men and women that are in this hall today, if we can invest in them that which is required, like we are doing here today, we are only saying that we want to be able to take them to a place where tomorrow they can take over the affairs of this country, understanding the basics and what is missing and what is required to take us to where we ought to be, that they are able to do better than what we currently have as leaders over this nation. So young men and women, we are depending on you. We are depending on you. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, when you need to sit down, settle down, and learn and understand what is required to move Nigeria from the abyss or from where we currently operate to where we need to operate among the League of Nations. And that is why I want to believe that the organizers have also brought this program to be, so that we can begin to look at every other thing. Let's begin to look away from the oil and let's begin to concentrate on agriculture that can help every one of us, together make Nigeria a better place for every one of us. I want to appreciate all the schools that are here, the teachers and proprietors, organizers, and of course, everyone that is here to just support this program. It's the maiden edition, and we are trusting God that as we come up with a program next year, We want to see every one of us come back, in our schools, and also come support the program. We are also hoping that from the schools, we will also get enough support from the program. The organizers of this program, they also have a magazine called the Africa Agriculture Agenda. It's a product of the organizers of this program as well. And, any way, the schools can support us with materials, with information, to keep putting the Africa Agricultural Agenda, in the forefront of, the literature and the magazine we have in this country. We're also going to just appreciate it and just trust God to have every one of us support us to have that achieved even as an organization. Once again, I want to say thank you, and the Lord bless every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you once again, Pastor Isi Iyere. Thank you so much. We're drawing to a close gradually. Now, one point to note is that when the agreement was first signed last year, only 44 countries out of the 55 member states of AU signed it initially, and Nigeria was not part of the initial signing. However, this year, in July this year, for some of you who were saying 44 member states, however, sometime in July this year, Nigeria had to sign the agreement. So Nigeria is part of it now. They've actually signed that agreement. And we only have just one nation who is yet to sign, and that's Eritrea. And that's because they had a problem with Ethiopia somehow. And that sort of made them hesitate a bit before signing it. So I'm not so sure if they've signed their own parts now. Mr. Nat would like to... Mr. Nat, where are you? Okay, so please come up stage for some of your votes of thanks. Judges, are we ready? Is the result ready, sir? Almost ready. Okay. So whilst we're awaiting the results, we'll give Mr. Nat the chance to say one or two things.
Thank you very much for your patience. I think it's been a wonderful moment. I want to thank all the participating schools, those that came from far. Some school came from Maryland, Good Shepherd came from Maryland, Linkcrest and the Standard Foundation. They came from Maryland. We don't know what happened to Kingsfield. They were on their way here. Somehow something happened, they couldn't, they felt that coming here would just be a waste of time, so they went back. But I'd like to particularly thank the panel of judges. Dr. Abuba, I can't be grateful enough for your support for this project. Thank you for taking the pain all the way from River State to be here. I also want to thank Dr. Bola Adekoya from Ogun State. Dr. Adekoya is in his late 60s. So we don't have any excuse not to be effective, not to be hardworking. He came all the way from Ogun State to be part of this. Please let us give him a hand of applause. I also want to use this opportunity to thank Mrs. Tolufumi Lola. By the way, when her title was read earlier on, it was not correct. She's a member of Fishery Society of Nigeria, right? Yeah. So that's her correct title, Fishery Society of Nigeria. I also want to thank the lady who came to represent Mrs. Bukola Awusonya from Sterling Bank. We are hoping that in the near future, you guys will help us to push this agenda. Sterling Bank is already doing so much in agriculture. We can tell your story better than you are currently doing. You are doing so much, but we can tell the story better through our international magazine, Agriculture. We are in partnership with Rome Business School to place that magazine in France Italy, England, Netherlands, US, Canada, so that we can give you the international visibility you are looking for. Thank you for coming. She's the first among the panel of judges to have arrived here. Thank you so much, ma'am. And then Barrister Ineka, who also came here very timely. Barrister Ineka, she has a master's degree in energy law from what is this now? Scotland University. Dundee University, right? If I'm correct, Dundee University in the UK. So she's here with us. So I'm just trying for you to know the caliber of a panel of judges that we have here, so that you will not have, like some were asking us, there were schools who pull out. They felt that because we were partnering with the church, that the outcome wouldn't be objective. So we went to Oriental Hotel. We wanted to get a space of about 400. They were asking for 1 million. But they didn't have the facility that we have here. So what's the crime of partnering with a church to give you the kind of facility we have? And the church has provided this for us free of charge. They didn't take money for us. So, and by the way, we are online. We are online. People are watching you online all over the world. So we did not see anything wrong with it. So we decided to partner with the church. And the church also believes in the vision that we are trying to pursue. So we come to them to help us. So you can see the judges there. It's not influence. The award that will be given to you today is just a ceremonial something to be able to present something to you so that you can, for pictures and all of that. But the main trophy that will be given to you, because we needed to inscribe the names of the winners on that trophy. So the trophy is not around. They are working on it somewhere, but our team will come and present the trophy to you in your respective schools. Is that okay? Because we are going to inscribe your names on it. We don't know who the winners are. If you see the winners are already inscribed there, you would think it's a fraud because we have decided who the winners are. That's why we put the name there. So because of that, we didn't know who the winner would be. The trophies are somewhere. The names of the winner will be inscribed on it, and the trophy will be brought to your respective school. Thank you very, very much. I just want to personally acknowledge the panel of judges for the wonderful work they have done. Thank you for coming, the students. Thank you for coming, the teachers. I also want to acknowledge the presence of the proprietor of Top Flight School. I know that she's a woman of God who believes in godly value. I want to thank you, ma'am, for coming. She's also a mother and a grandmother who has taken the pain to come and encourage us to do this. So we hope there are a lot of things we could do in the future together. Agri teachers, please get ready. After this, we will be reaching out to you again because some companies are already calling us to bring students to come and see how some of the food you are eating, the process. Big farms, you go and see it with your eyes. The food you are consuming, how they are producing it. So you will hear from us again. Thank you for coming. I cannot express how joyful I am at this time. God bless you.
Are the results ready? Okay. Can we get like a specific time? Like how many more minutes? How many more minutes? Okay, still cooking. Okay. So whilst we await the results, wow, that's rain. The showers of blessings. Whilst we await the results, we'll also like to let you know that this is just the maiden edition of this debate. There's going to be subsequent editions as well. So your school should also, all the schools here should also get ready so that when we send out invitations for the next edition, you'll be well prepared and ready to honor our invitation. And please ensure that when you get back to your school, you can also play this videos to them, you know, during their spare time. Let them watch to see how their representatives participated during the debate. It will sort of encourage them. And also would like to say a big thank you to our partners, Barak and Beacon. Thank you so much. Barak and Beacon, thank you so much for partnering with us. Thank you, Word Assembly. Thank you, the different schools. Let me call out all the names. Let me thank you one after the other. Arresta Divine School. Please wave. Arresta Divine School. Thanks for honoring our invitation. Thanks for coming. Albesta Academy. Thanks for honoring our invitation. Charles Sidoni. Thanks for honoring our invitation. Diadem College. Thank you for coming. Good Shepherd Schools. Good Shepherd. All the way from Ogun State, right? Mero. Where is that? Ogun State. Lagos, okay. Thanks for coming. Hebron Heights College. Where's Hebron Heights College? Thanks for coming. Lynncrest School. Lynncrest. Do we have just two of you? Just two of you. Lynncrest School. The others are not here. Okay, they're there. Thanks for coming. Then we have Queensland Academy. Queensland Academy. Thanks for coming. Standard Foundation Schools. Standard Foundation. Thanks for coming. Then Top Flights College. Okay, thank you so much, sir. Thank you for bringing all the students here to participate in this grand ceremony. Panelists, are the results ready now? Dr. Aguba. Dr. Aguba, sir. Dr. Aguba. The result, is it ready? It's ready. Okay, so we've been able to listen to the cool, calm debaters. We've also listened to the very passionate and fiery debaters. And now we are awaiting the results to know who comes first. And take note, like the pastor said, everybody is a winner. So nobody is a loser. So please, teachers, as you're going home, do not scold them. Let them know that everybody is a winner. You all are winners. We really appreciate your efforts. Really appreciate the boldness and the courage that you put in to make this a success. So we really appreciate you. Do not compare yourselves with the others. Do not think you're a failure or in any way downgrade yourself. You really tried. Thank you so much. Let's give them another round of applause, please. Let's encourage them. So it is not to say one school is better than the other. It is not to say one school, one student is more intelligent than the other. Rather, this is a debate. It's just to provide something, to provide an information that everybody can work with, so that by the time people listen to this conversation, they can have a balanced understanding of what the continent's free trade agreement is all about. So you have just provided that content, you have just provided that information for us and for others out there to be able to pick and watch and then understand, have a better understanding of what it's all about. So do not say, my points were not strong enough, my points were weak, she has a better point, he had a better point. No, it's not about that. It's not a competition. Do you understand? So when you go back to your school, please walk with your heads tall, because you were part of the maiden edition of this program. And as you go back home, it is our prayers that the Almighty God will go with you and will take you safely to your destinations in Jesus' name. Thank you all for coming. God bless you as we await the final results for today. Okay, maybe I'll just give, since one of the proprietors is around, maybe I'll just give her a chance to say something about the program. Ma'am, Top Flights proprietress. So tell us your experience so far.
All protocols observed. My greetings go to all. to the members of the high table, the judges, our co-debaters, and the audience, the youths, the students. I thank God for having the privilege to come up here to address an occasion as great as this. In fact, I really enjoyed myself. When the invitation came, I thought, when I heard of Oriental Hotel, I said, that's a big hotel. I must participate, and maybe I will be able to gain one or two things. And then this morning also that I was informed the place has been changed. I said, okay, for the fact that my students are going, let me encourage them and go with them, because I always like going out with them. And hence I'm here. Thank God, without having the mind that I will be called upon here to say something. But I thank God for honoring me, that my coming here was not a waste. I thank you all. I thank the producer. And you know we love our country. We love our country. This agriculture, things you are saying here, we are old school. Yet, you know, we are the ones that have been going to the market, buying things. And this closing of the border, I know one way or the other helps the country. Because things like egusi, crayfish, the price has come down drastically for the closure. I'm sure initially they were exporting it seriously. And now that this exportation is closed, the borders are closed, things like that, the locally made products are very cheap now. Praise the Lord. So in due course, we don't know where it will lead us to. So a change is something that we should buy, we should welcome. Amen. I thank you. More grace to the producers. More power to your elbows. And I hope you will not stop here. You continue to move forward as you are educating our youths. Praise the Lord. May the Lord be with you all. Thank you.
And finally, the moment we all have been waiting for has arrived. The panel of judges is ready with the results. And one of the representatives will be coming up to tell us who the winner is. So let's give a round of applause to one of our panelists. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. What's up? Cool. Yeah. It's been quite exciting, and you guys were brave. It's not easy standing up in front of people and arguing for and against. So, good job. Yeah? And good job to all the supporters out there. Clap for yourselves. Woo! Great. So, in everything that we do, we must have a winner. But remember that this is not about who won and who did not win. So, we're just going to announce the first three winners. In first place is Hebron Heights College. So who is from Hebron here? Would you please stand up? Great. And then who is the supporting person there? Okay. In second place is Good Shepherd Schools. Yeah. And in third place is Dadem College. So if I must speak on behalf of the panel, you guys did a great job, but you must also work on your confidence, work on your pitch, delivery, and work on your self-expression. I'm sure the next time we come for this, it will be a better presentation. Thank you and God bless.
The three schools should please come up stage. I think we have a plaque. We have a plaque. Hebron, Good Shepherd, and Diadem. Another round of applause for them. Okay, so they should come up here. So stand on the second. Yes, the second. Please come. Come and stand on the second staircase. The second. So we can take pictures. Another round of applause. Let's not just look at them. Another round of applause. Let's cheer them on. Sir, could you please come and present the plaque when it's ready? The plaque. We'd like you to come and present it. Gone to bring it. They've gone to bring it. Okay, whilst we're waiting for the plaque, the teachers who brought them, please come out. Let's snap. Let's just have the photograph session now. Okay. So let's have the first here. First, second, third, in that order. Teachers from the three schools should please come out. I think it would have been better you stood. Would have been better. Just stand behind your representatives. Why should you shake their hands? Okay. For the first. Where's the second? That's for the second. Where's the third? Okay. Hebron Heights. Yes. Good Shepherd. Good Shepherd. Good Shepherd, second. Hebron Heights, first. Good Shepherd, second. Diadem, third. Then let's have group photographs. Some of the other representatives from each of the schools, please come out and take photographs with your representatives here. Why not shake one another? Shake one another. Sportsmanship. You have to shake the others. It's the spirit of good sportsmanship. You've not shook hands with him. Shake one another. Okay, so please come up, snap with them. So we can make it very fast. No, you come here. Line up here, please. Please, let's make it snappy. They will.
Yeah, we will. Just let's say. Thank you. 79. Also let the others know that there is no one who earns less than 60%. It's not as if they are failures. It's just that there is differentiation.
So I'll just hand this over to the organizers.
The what?
Organizers.
Yes. They are already doing, they have one.
Okay,
this is a rough one we use. But I wanted you to have it just in case. I don't want you to miss it. You can see it now. You know it's offered. You are like Obama. If you're okay, go on and then present. And then they go and label it later.
Okay, just to save time.
After you presented it, you can then come and take pictures with them.
Okay.
They can still take more pictures when they land.
Okay.
While they have not left. And now that they are realizing taking with their school, they can still go and put a picture in the school.
Yes.
It's only in this country we don't give awards. We rather go and do national and things that don't. We need to be encouraging these ones. Every stage they are good. It's true. We appreciate them. Let's go.
Okay, to present their words to the first, the school that came first, Dr. Bukola will be doing that for us. And he'll be presenting their word to Hebron School. That's Hebron. It's Hebron. Hebron School. So Hebron School came first with 79%. Let's give them a round of applause. Hebron. Hebron Heights. So Hebron here. The real name? Yeah. Thank you, sir. No, sir. Dr. Agbugba, please, for the second position. Okay, okay. Okay, so Mrs. Oluwafumilola will be presenting the award to the second position. No, this is the second. Really?
Yes, this child.
And the second position goes to Good Shepherd Schools with 78%. Wow, that was very close. 78%. Good Shepherd Schools. So can we have Dr. Agbugba to present the award to Diadem College. Diadem College. They came third with 77%. So you can see it's just very close. 77%. So I'd like to call on the panelists to please join them upstage for a group photograph. Okay, please, I'd like the others to also join so they can all snap together with you. Please come up stage. Let's. Yes. Please come to the front. Come to the front. Can you raise it up?